Hey, you guys, today's video is very special and it's about our health because in the end, our health is our wealth, right? Doesn't matter how much money we make, how much time we have, if our health is crippling us. So this is a little bit of a different venue for what I usually do, but I have been impressed to share this with you guys. I will be interviewing a very special person that I met months ago, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. Just remember that it's about our health, okay? And that's important. So if you do end up being interested, you want to learn more, I'm going to include a link tree, which is a platform used so I can just lay out tons of information and next steps for you guys. In the description of this video, I will also have my Telegram handle and my email. So if you want to contact me directly, get more information, and join my community for this specific health product, then reach out to me and we'll go from there. But with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and transition over to this interview. Enjoy. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. I have a special guest here with me in this video, Dr. Maureen Hayes. And Dr. Hayes and I actually met, you said August, I think, when we talked.
It was August, yeah.
So it was a handful of months ago, but we were able to meet, and I was very impressed with her knowledge and experience. And this product that we're going to be talking about today is something that I was been trying to figure out how exactly to go about this, and I was thinking, okay, you know what, maybe we'll just have Dr. Hayes come on and share a little bit because you've got so much experience with this product, but also your background, and I'll let you go over that because I really just want you to give a explanation backstory of where you came from before this company, this product, and why you even decided to join. But really quick before that, the whole reason why I just decided to jump the gun here and get started is there was somebody that I knew. He was 31, and I can't remember how old his wife is. I knew that he had a 1 year old son, but he just passed away last week. It was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And so after that event, I thought to myself, okay, you know what? I just need to start sharing this product because the things that it's able to do within our body is just amazing. But let's go ahead, Dr. Hayes, if you can just give a little bit of, oh, actually, okay, precursor again. So we're going to be talking about this right here. Okay, cell signaling supplement, and this is redox specifically. So, Dr. Hayes, if you can, sorry, I just hit a button on my headphones.
No
Uh,
problem. Hey, Jacob, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very passionate about this, and I love sharing it and educating people about it. And that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So, for the very reason that you feel convicted about sharing this with people is kind of the same way I came into this company. I was introduced to this company 11 years ago when my husband had a very big health challenge. And just for a little background, I am a medical doctor. And just so you know, the product that we're talking about is not a medical product. It's not meant to treat, diagnose, cure, prevent anything. What it does do is it empowers your cells to do their job and to perform as though they're much younger cells. And so, what that means for the body, because the body has the innate wisdom to heal itself, we see enhanced healing, enhanced athletic performance, increased resilience to stress. So many good things happening in the body. And we all feel like we're aging backwards. We all look younger and more vibrant than we did before we got started on the product. So, that's just an added bonus. So, just so you know, my background, I'm an anesthesiologist and pain specialist by training. And my husband is also a physician. He's a pediatric anesthesiologist and stem cell researcher. And he was also in the military. And it's kind of a long story, but he was over there. He was running in a sandstorm 10 miles with his troop, and he had an episode of wheezing. And one of the other doctors said, "Hey, you need to get a chest x-ray and figure out why you're wheezing." And it seemed to him that, it was pretty normal to run through a sandstorm and have some, respiratory distress. But they talked him into it. He got this chest x-ray, showed he had a huge mass in his chest, and they sent him home. We live in Texas, and there's a specialized hospital here called MD Anderson, where they sent him. They did surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, whole 9 yards, and they cured him, but they left him very compromised. The treatment was
Mhm.
very, very hard on his body. And he ended up going from being an athlete, former marathon runner, still running 8, 10 miles a day, to having to wear oxygen to watch TV. So he was about 58 years old at the time, and very, very healthy, very active until this happened. And, I say to people, your life can change in an instant,
Mhm.
and you have to be prepared for that. And you need to dig your well before you're thirsty, because this is something that we weren't planning on, that we didn't expect. He was the picture of health, and all of a sudden, here he is, incredibly compromised. And you would think, as two physicians, we might have figured this out, but no, we were blindsided by it. What's really interesting is I had already had a little bit of a crisis of faith in medicine, in that he and I both practiced, for decades. And as a pain doctor, I wrote tons of prescriptions. And one day we were going to the hospital together, and I said, does it bother you that every day we show up for work and the parking lot is full, and the clinics are full, and the surgical schedule is full, and the hospital beds are all full? He said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, we've been practicing for decades. All of our friends have been practicing. Didn't you think at some point in time we would get ahead of the curve, and that we would come to work and there'd be nobody sick to take care of?" I said, "We could just sit around and drink coffee and chit chat." And he just thought that was the most ridiculous thing he ever heard. And I was like, I'm being serious. Why do we never seem to heal anybody? Nobody seems to get better. We're doing our best with our fund of knowledge and our skill set and all, but it just never seemed like anybody got cured. And so I was like, we're missing something here. And I went on a quest. And this is before my husband even went over to Iraq. But I got certified in acupuncture. I learned mind body, energy medicine,
Mhm.
all sorts of things, because I wanted to get to the root problem,
Mhm.
upstream.
Yeah.
What was causing people to get there? Because I know if I was ever sick or hurt, I would want to get back to baseline. I would want somebody to tell me how to fix the problem, not give me a drug so I could live with it or cope with it. I would want to fix the problem. And I thought, that's what I think we need to do. We need to be more focused on not just prevention, which is incredibly important, but knowing what leads to the path of disease.
Mhm.
And so that's where I was when all of this was taking place. My husband comes home from Iraq and he's sick. I had actually decided to go back into something called age management medicine, which is concierge medicine. We all want to live to be, 100 or 120. They say we can live
Yeah.
now. But we don't ever visualize ourselves in a wheelchair or in a nursing home, drooling or whatever. We all see ourselves as being, 100 years old, hiking and traveling and mountain climbing or golfing, whatever it is that you love to do. And, we just want to wear ourselves out. When our time is up, we want to go, we just want to go flaming out, right? I don't want to be hanging around with no
Mhm.
quality of life. I just want to live life to the fullest. And so I went into age management medicine, but the problem is it's very expensive. And so anyway, as I'm going through that training, somebody comes to us and he's telling us about this breakthrough in health sciences. And I was like, I'll buy it. What is it? And he said, "Well, it's made from salt water from Salt Lake City." Now, that was a hard sell because my husband and I live in Galveston, Texas. So we live on an island surrounded by salt water.
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't think I need to order salt water. We seem to have an overabundance of it, right by our house.
Yeah.
this sounds really sketchy to me. But I looked at some of the studies that were available back then, and there wasn't a lot. There were some studies on athletes at the Human Performance Lab by Dr. David Neiman. He's quite famous. He does, studies on all sorts of athletic performance products, Gatorade or Powerade, whatever. And he's written a number of books. So the company had reached out to him to see if he would do some studies on athletes. And he said he would, but he needed to be able to publish the results, whether they were positive or negative. They were blown away. They showed that athletes on the product could run further, faster, longer, and recover faster, and that their metabolites were totally changed. They were literally burning fat for fuel and sparing glycogen. So it was sparing the carbohydrates and using fat. So the fuel was burning cleaner. They had less lactic acid buildup, so less muscle cramping. They
Hmm.
recovered much faster and they could run again. And so it's pretty amazing. We do
Yeah.
see this, in our athletes and in people who are using it and working out. So there was that. Here's my husband, sort of an athlete, kind of a weekend warrior, if you will. And I thought, well, I don't know exactly how it's doing this in their bodies, but my husband has a problem with oxygenation, and these are athletes. And if I can get better oxygenation, maybe he'll do better. Had a 30-day money back guarantee. So I was like, what do we have to lose? Here he is. He's practically a cripple. He's a respiratory cripple. So yes, I was going to have to invest some money. So we did. We got on the products, and I got my husband started on it. I put my 21-year-old son on it who was having some issues. We put our pets on it, our family members who we could get to take. I just wanted to see what it would do for
Yeah.
people. And I didn't want to tell anybody. I wasn't going to tell anybody else that we were drinking salt water from Salt Lake City. I was like, nope, no, I'm not going to tell people. But that, famous last words. A girlfriend of mine, I just happened to mention it, and she's one of those people who's, a joiner. So when she found out that I had joined the company, she joined the company, and I was like, you're on your own. I'm not going to help you with this. I just want to see how my husband does. And then another girlfriend who's a retired nurse up in Washington State. I'm in Texas. She's in Washington.
Hmm.
She'd had surgery on her wrist a year before, and it was still hurting her. It was terrible, excruciating pain. It was turning colors. It was swelling up. She
Wow.
couldn't make a fist. It was her dominant hand. She couldn't write with it. It was keeping her up all night. She had tried literally everything. And I had said to her, I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but you need to get to a pain clinic. You need to have a special block done for the diagnosis, see if that's what it is. I said, in the meantime, she knew the person who had introduced me to it. I said, Terry Latham has this stuff. This is doctor to nurse. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, but I know you've tried everything else. You might as well try it. And if you don't like it, you can get your money back. And frankly, I don't care.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks go by and I'm in training, right? And I'm not paying attention to anybody or anything. And I get a call from Terry Latham. He said, hey, Joan signed up. I said, Joan who? He said, Joan, your friend up in Washington State with the wrist. I was like, she signed up. I didn't even know how to sign somebody up or how to. And he said, yeah, she's on the roster. And so he said, I think you better call her. So I called her and she's like, oh my gosh, I got the product. I drank it. I soaked my hand in it. Nobody told her to do that. She said the swelling went down, the color came back. I could make a fist. The discomfort went away. I slept through the night. My husband says I haven't looked this good in ages. And
Wow.
I was like, what? I hadn't noticed the first thing. Nothing had happened at my house. I was really thinking I was going to get my money back within that 30-day
Yeah.
period. But here's this girl. And then Sally, the joiner, her mom, one morning, she's walking through the kitchen and her mom said, hey, Sally, I see you. And Sally said, hey, I see you too, Mom. She's like, no, I see you in my blind eye.
Wow.
She had been blind in her eye for like 9 years. Now she didn't get 100% of her vision back, but she was seeing shapes and colors.
Hmm.
She had been dropping the liquid into her eyes.
Wow.
Something also I didn't tell her. I don't know what
Yeah.
she to do that. And the funny thing about Joan, and we still laugh about it to this day, this stuff is not cheap, right? So she had soaked her hand in it for 45 minutes and then she decided she was going to drink it. And she said, oh
Oh.
my God, it was so god awful. I was like, that's terrible. But at least it was your hand and not your feet,
Yeah.
you know. Who does that? I was like, get some fresh stuff if you're going to drink it. But anyway, here's Joan, getting her hand back after a year of suffering. Here's Sally's mom. Sally's mom shares it with her doctor and her home health nurse, and it's off to the races. Joan shares it with another friend of ours, excuse me, who was diagnosed. She's Japanese. She was over in Japan. They diagnosed her with a very serious condition with her liver. She comes back to the States. She gets the same diagnosis. She ends up having surgery. They open her up from stem to stern, take out a third of her liver. Turns out it's benign, but they close her up. And 4 days later, now Joan had shared it with her. So she's drinking 90 pounds soaking wet. She's drinking a bottle a day before her surgery.
Mhm.
Insane. I'm not even a part of this. But 4 days after her surgery, major abdominal surgery, she's walking the beach with her husband and dog. I was like, go home and get in bed. That's insane. So, anyway, all this stuff is going on before we even have the first thing. But then it was probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks out. My husband starts to wean off his oxygen, starts exercising again. My son, who had had some anxiety, generalized anxiety, and panic attacks, all of a sudden has a personality change. He goes from Eeyore to Tigger. And I wake up one morning and, I hadn't even mentioned it, but my mom had passed away
Mhm.
just a little while before all of this. And somebody had actually called me about a SIA to get her on it. They said this could really help her. And I was like, give me a break. I'm a physician. I know what's best for my mom. That's sort of, I call it my period of arrogance and ignorance.
Mhm.
And, then my mom died 2 months later. And I wouldn't have thought about it. But, when I started seeing people improve, I was very guilt-ridden, kind of like you, Jacob, with your friend not telling him. I was like, wow, why was I so close-minded about sharing this with my mom?
Yeah.
What would it have hurt? But in any case, my that feeling of grief over my mom's death and just sort of depression, if you will, lifted. It's like birds were singing and colors were brighter, and I could get a deep breath again. And I was like, what is this stuff? And so I never went back into practice. I never hung my shingle as a concierge doctor.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? We as physicians didn't know about this.
Yeah.
So I know the people on the street don't know about it. And I had never had my hands on anything so powerful and so safe. And I was like, I'm going to educate people. I'm going to get the message out. What they do with that information is totally up to them. I'm just going to be the messenger.
Right.
And that's what I've done for the past 10 years, 10 and a half years. And it's been the most rewarding time of my life. I mean, personally, getting my family back, my husband's health is amazing. My son went back to college, graduated with honors. He's still on the product. So many of my family members who have had challenges
Mhm.
are doing great. And, I just thank God every day that we took a look at this. And, it's not just for sick people, it's for people. In fact, I was just having a conversation about, people are all into cold plunges and, going from hot to cold and, saunas to cold plunges and things. And everybody is doing things to, increase the number of mitochondria they have
Mhm.
to get healthier. Well, this fits right in with that. This is actually a bioreplenishment agent. It has, bioidentical molecules to what is made in our cells by our mitochondria that just we have fewer of as we get older, and they get out of balance because we're under stress. We have bad
Mhm.
diets. We have electromagnetic fields all around us. And so when we replenish these molecules and we fix the imbalance, our bodies are miraculous. We're giving it the tools it needs to do what it knows how to do. And it's incredible what you see sometimes. So,
Yeah, what's the stat that I remember I was looking at a study. They said I think after 20 years old, your ability for your cells to communicate drops by I think it was like 10 to 15% every decade.
well, we talk about the mitochondria.
Mhm.
You lose about 10% of your mitochondria every decade after puberty.
Mhm.
So, by the time you get to be like 50, or I'm in my 60s, you're running on fumes,
Right.
right? And you start seeing signs of aging. You start seeing graying hair, wrinkled skin, joints that are degenerating.
Mhm.
And nobody ever questions why. If you watch CSI or any of those shows, you know you have the same DNA now that you were born with, but you look totally different. Why is that? What's happening? What's going on? Well, you naturally have that decline in the mitochondria. But in the world that we live in today, it's happening so much faster. It's so
Yeah,
much rapid.
definitely.
We're seeing kids get sicker. I'm in a medical conference right now, and one of the people was talking about just the bad diagnoses that we're seeing in younger and younger people.
Mm,
What's happening?
yeah,
Where it's a toxic world, right?
yeah.
So,
I mean, I
yeah.
tell you what, yeah, my 6-year-old daughter, she's a lot of candy. It's a lot of processed. It's a lot of waffles in the box. So, um, hard habit to break.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah, it's tough. I mean, kids, they watch TV, they see all the, Fruit Loops and all the good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's really tough to keep them off that sugar, especially. But yeah, it's important to do it.
But I love this so much because it's cell related. And I mean, you were giving a handful of so many different issues people were having, and I feel we're used to a lot of time of, well, if you have this one, then you're going to take that specific one. If you have that issue over there, then you're going to take this pill. And I love that. I mean, I'm not doing a lot of uh, supplements or products, but when I do, it's because it's very, very unique. And as I was showing earlier, I mean, this is a cell signaling supplement, and right above it, you can see it says redox. And I know majority, if not everybody listening to this, has no idea what redox is. So, can you just explain a little bit of redox
Sure.
and why that's so important?
Well, it's actually a contraction of reductants and oxidants,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everybody's familiar with the term antioxidant. You don't
Mm-hmm.
really need to explain that to people anymore. But, we think of antioxidants and free radicals, but there's actually two sides to the equation.
Right.
There's the, antioxidants, and then there's also reactive oxygen species. So there are some free radicals in there. But the way this works, you have to have, it's like a yin and yang, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have to have both sides. And we went so far over on antioxidants that too much of a good thing sometimes is not
Yeah.
always good for you. So the way that these molecules work, your cells use these different molecules to send out alarm systems, signals. Like if you cut yourself, you don't really think about it, unless you need to go to the hospital and get stitches. But if you cut yourself, you're going to stop bleeding, right? You know that over time it's going to
Mm-hmm.
knit back together. You're going to get a scab. The scab's going to fall off, going to have a little scar. It's going to fade. How does all that happen? Well, as soon as you cut through the epithelium, all sorts of alarms are going off. All of these molecules are being sent out. And they're calling in the cavalry. They're calling in the platelets to stop the bleeding and fibroblasts to lay down the fibrin and granulocytes to granulate the tissues in. All of that is happening automatically
Mm-hmm.
because of these signals that are being sent out. That happens all through your body. So, like when you take these molecules, it's all about transfer of electrons and transfer of energy.
Mm-hmm.
These molecules, the ones that we make, are very high energy molecules. So they take saline, IV grade saline, very pure saline, saltwater saline, and then they put it through electrolysis. That process breaks apart all the bonds between the NaCl and the H2O, and it reforms as these stable redox signaling molecules that are stable in solution for up to 2 years. So what they're doing is they're taking salt, and if you've ever seen salt crystals and they dissolve them in water,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to a lower energy state. Everything is looking for the lowest form of energy it can be in. It
Mm-hmm.
like has to do with entropy and physics and all. Um, so it goes to that lower energy state. So with the electrolysis, they're driving that energy up. They're energizing those molecules and keeping them there. It's like having a fully charged battery. Then you put it into your mouth, you drink it or you rub it onto your skin, those molecules are absorbed very quickly because they're very tiny. And when they
Mm-hmm.
touch organic matter, they go to work and they're instantly absorbed into the cells where they turn things on. We know they turn on certain genes that are very beneficial and they turn on different cascades. And by a cascade, I mean, it's like a domino effect. one cell will influence the cells around it, that will
Hmm.
influence the cells around it, almost like dropping a pebble in a pond and watching that ripple effect. And that ripple effect, that cascade or domino effect, goes throughout the body that increases our resilience to stress and overall wellness. So, this is an amazing thing that takes place. It's very natural. But imagine if you're trying to send a signal.
Hmm.
Say you've got a, old-fashioned inkjet, right? And you're trying to send out a green message, but you're all out of yellow. So the
Hmm.
message is going out in blue. And blue is very similar to green, sort of, they're comparable. But over time, that message is going to go like this,
Hmm.
right? And the expectation, what you're asking for, what the blueprint is showing is going to be very different if you're sending out blue instead of green. When you refill that yellow and all of a sudden the message is clear, the message is green, everybody's on the same page, everything starts working
Yeah.
much better. That's what we're doing here. We're just filling up the yellow inkjet.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And I love that there's a lot of studies that they've been able to do and put out
Yeah.
over the years. There was another example. I was watching you on a talk panel the other day. Another example, just to kind of explain this so people get it, is you were talking about how you've got a TV and you've got a remote, but if
You
the
saw
I
that
don't know if
one.
you remember that one, but if the remote doesn't have batteries, right, it can't signal and communicate with that
Yeah,
TV. So similar to our cells in our body. And you were talking about just to be even more specific, it needs to be a very specific kind of battery. It may be a double A, might be triple A, and that's also. And I was just thinking, yeah, I mean, all of our bodies are different, and they are going to function
right.
uniquely to to our own system. And so, what may in regards to maybe how much I'm drinking for me might be a little bit lower to somebody else that depending on what they're going through, they might need a lot more, cell signaling support. So, uh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You may need more power.
Hmm.
A friend of mine, in fact, one of the doctors that I'm here at the conference with, she says, the bigger the fire, the more fire
Yeah.
power you need, a bigger hose you need. Another one of our doctors, I love how she says it, she's talking more about, detoxing. Some people are really, their bodies are really dirty. It's like
Hmm.
a garage that you're cleaning out. And sometimes when you take that broom, you're going to kick up a whole cloud of dust, right? Not everybody, but some people. And so you may need a bigger broom to clean
Hmm.
that out. You may need to be on it longer before you start feeling things until you got all of the junk out of your body, out of your cells. So everybody is individual,
Hmm.
and like we said, it's not a medical treatment and we don't really have protocols. We have a lot of experience
Hmm.
with what works for people or what we can do to help them have a better response. And it's funny, one of the doctors I was talking to said, I know a lot of people who have been on this product and now they're not, and I was like, well, we have better education now. Not
Hmm.
everybody's taking the right amount. Not everybody's taking it consistently. Not everybody's staying on it long enough to get their blessing.
Hmm.
So, there's a lot more, a lot of people were maybe not served correctly or
Yeah.
educated correctly because we didn't really know. Now we have a total fund of knowledge and experience that we can share with people and help them have the best possible result. That said, audience participation is not necessary.
Hmm.
We take vitamins. It's not like you take vitamins. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm vibrating,
Yeah.
no, you just know you need them. And for some people, that's what it is. It works the way it works. It's going to do what it does. Not everybody gets what they're looking for. There's a hierarchy of healing in the body. So, if your knee is hurting and you're hoping that, you're drinking the liquid and you're hoping your knee discomfort's going to go away. And it's not, well, maybe the molecules are busy working on your liver or your heart or
Yeah.
your lungs or something that's going to keep you alive.
Yeah.
Over time, usually it will get to that thing, but it goes by its own hierarchy and the
Hmm.
body puts the molecules where it needs them. Now, of course, we have the topical, the gel.
Hmm.
So if your knee is hurting, put it on your knee. Yeah, it's
Sure.
amazing. Same product in a different form. One is to use systemically, the other one is for
Yeah.
topical use.
Well, and it's more concentrated too, the gel.
Yeah, it is. So it's really cost effective. Now it works a little differently. It has to be
Hmm.
absorbed into the body, but when we opened up Australia, they didn't allow the liquid in initially. And all
Wow.
they could use was the gel. So they were using it from head to toe and still having amazing health benefits from it. So it's
Yeah.
still very, very effective.
Yeah, they've got some really stellar products, and one of the things that I do like for those who get overwhelmed, I mean, there's not, a plethora, there's not a warehouse of different products that, you need to filter through. I mean, for me, I use the gel and I use the liquid. They do have other products, but it can be very, very simple to, how do I get
Exactly.
started and stuff. So with that, I also want to talk about, so you mentioned ASEA. People could see ASEA on the little pouch that I was showing. Is there another company or warehouse or manufacturer that does what ASEA is doing here?
That's a great question. And no, it's really very surprising because our company has been around for 14 years.
Hmm.
And to date, there are no copycats. There's nobody who's been able to reverse engineer it. And, we fully expected other people because the science is so hot right now.
Yeah.
Like right now, we have 10 studies going on around the world. We just
Wow.
had some two of them come out with a white paper that's just mind blowing
Wow.
that taking these products increases NRF2, which is a major detox pathway in the body by 60%, increases it up to 60%, including in damaged cells, and
Wow.
increases the production of intracellular glutathione, which is
Hmm.
your master antioxidant.
Yep. Yeah.
It increases production of that by 40%. Now I'm at this conference and everybody and their brother, all the vendors are selling glutathione, liposomal glutathione and different forms of it IV. It's a very large molecule. It's
Hmm.
very difficult to get it into the cells. So being able to increase production intracellularly is gold.
Hmm.
And that's what they're finding with this. And that's just one pathway of 15 known pathways of one gene that we know that taking these products influences up to it increases the transcription of the EGR1 gene by 20 to 31%. That's amazing. And that's just one pathway. The other pathways from EGR1 are things like insulin signaling, thyroid signaling, spinal cord signaling, serotonin, circadian rhythm, embryo implant,
Wow.
and NRF2. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I mean,
So we're just getting started.
yeah, I love this. And like I was saying earlier, I mean, it's unique because one, our bodies are unique, and every organ and every functioning system within us is made up of cells. And so you're
Exactly.
talking about the glutathione. I was watching a video, I think a couple of days ago, and he was talking about, and some people might be asking, well, is there a food that I can take that boosts this? Is there a supplement? And I think that you were mentioning they're trying, they have these products. It can't get to where it needs to go, like this
Right.
redox supplement can.
And redox isn't everything. It's just foundational. There is
Mm-hmm.
no nutrition. But what I tell people is taking redox, getting your redoxome back into where it needs to be, it's going to make everything else you do for your body work better.
Mm-hmm.
And the more good you can do for your body, the bigger bang for your buck you're going to get from redox, the more
Yeah.
benefits you're going to see. So, it's pretty amazing. I liken it to, the supplements you're taking, glutathione, whatever, it's like putting gas in your tank of your car.
Mm-hmm.
And the redox molecules is like changing out the spark plugs.
Mm.
So you have to have a working engine to get the benefit of high quality fuel.
Yeah.
Same in our body. And you were talking about people, other companies. The cool thing about our company is we have multiple layered patents on how we produce these molecules. You can't
Mm-hmm.
really patent salt water, but you
Yeah.
can patent the
Yeah.
you can patent the process that they use, but not just layered patents because those can expire. There are thousands of trade secrets
Mm.
that nobody's ever going to be able to figure out. And these molecules are so persnickety that you have to, they're fleeting. They come in,
Yeah.
they do what they're doing, they're gone. So you have to handle them in a certain way. And if you don't, then you're going to end up with salt water. So it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. So it goes through all sorts of quality control at our facility, our production facility, Plus, we have 3 on-site labs, 2 at the production facility, 1 at headquarters. And it goes for third-party testing to make sure to certify that every bottle has the redox molecules in it that we say it does. And, for those athletes out there, it's WADA compliant and
Mm-hmm.
NSF sports compliant. So there's nothing in it that would be banned. We have a lot of Olympians and triathletes and Ironmen who
Very
take
cool.
these products. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember maybe it was just a Zoom that I watched that was about one of the Olympic coaches and giving her experience and kind of
Rosie,
testimonial with
yeah,
some of her students that she was coaching through the Olympics on the product.
yeah.
Very cool.
It is cool. It is cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well. So I mean, redox, um, you can test your level, and I had I think it was a cellular test that I got done with my blood, and I was very I didn't well I was surprised. I didn't realize or I wasn't aware that redox like it told me my redox output. So
Wow.
yeah, based out of 120, my redox score was around I think it was around like 95. And that was in line with the studies done saying, after puberty, 20 years after, every decade it goes down 10, 15%. And so my wife, who's a couple years younger than me, her score was actually a little bit lower than mine. So mine was okay, average. Average doesn't mean good. It's just average of what's happening to all of us, right?
Right.
And so it was very cool. I mean, this isn't something redox isn't something made up. This is a process that our cells in our body are performing every millisecond. So it's I mean, I should probably go back and test and see, how it is now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're young and healthy and you're taking it in your family, because that's what it's all about. It's all
Hmm.
about, optimizing your health. What
Yeah.
can we do to feel better? Because, a lot of people, like I was talking about with the cold plunges and the spas and stuff, people want to be healthier. They want
Yeah.
to be, at their best. And they also want to be able to fight off things that are trying to get them,
Yeah.
like your friend. I mean, it's tragic to be that young and to have such a
Yeah.
serious disease.
It's so
Oh,
common now though. I mean, I have another really close friend. He's also he's 30 and yeah, he's got cancer as well. And so I mean, all these crazy issues. And again, it all comes down to ourselves and them being able to communicate effectively, efficiently, and where they need to be communicating. If your batteries are out or you got one battery working, one not, well, guess what? You're still not going to be able to communicate with that TV. So this supplement, it's the things that it's able to help support within our body. Just because you were talking earlier, that cascading effect. And so I hope people watching this, first understand, how unique this product is, but how much we need it just because of what we're going through on a daily basis. I mean, people don't realize if I'm spray painting my room, man, I'm breathing in all those toxins, that's not supposed to be inside my body, and that's going to trigger and affect me in a negative way. Just things like that. I mean, I feel like we're so used to our environment, we don't realize how toxic things really
lots of it
are.
is.
Yeah, until we get to the point where something's failing within our body, and then at that point, it's a little bit harder to address. But I've been really trying being in maintenance mode and preventative mode because I've experienced that, and I've experienced when things hit the fan, and I think we
Yeah,
can all. I mean, if we all had the choice, we'd rather do the preventative, but it's just taking that action, right, and getting that knowledge of what's out there, what works, what doesn't, and what's actually beneficial to our body's recovery and overall efficiency. So great product. Thank you so much for going over all of that.
absolutely. My pleasure.
um, I think that might be it. I'm going to, yeah, we've been going for almost
That
40
was a
minutes.
lot.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of information that I'll be including. So the great thing about this is the community. There's a lot of content out there. And so I'm going to be providing all of that for all those who are interested if they want to view more or understand more. And I think that as people understand more, at least this is how I work. The more I understand how amazing something is for me, the easier it is for me to participate in that, right? And take it maybe on a daily basis. Those who are like, oh, okay, yeah, I heard this is good. You might stop after a week because you really don't understand what this is doing for your body. So all that information I'm going to include as much as I can. There will be a book that I read that I thought was very informational with everything here as well. Lots of stuff. So I don't know if there's anything else, Dr. Hayes, you want to end here.
No, just that, we would love help getting the word out. Our bodies are under attack these days, and we have something that will help us fight back.
Hmm.
It's foundational. So would love for people to get more information and join us in just sharing the information with other people. So thanks, Jacob. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you as well. Appreciate. I mean, you're out traveling, so thank you so much for taking this time, and we'll keep in touch.
Sounds great. Take care. Have a good
Thanks.
night.
You too.
Bye.